welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I am your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Thank you so much for being here. If you are enjoying what UPRN has to offer, please head to their website, uprntalkradio.com. There's always new shows that are starting. We have some very exciting new shows that are coming up. You can check out all of our archive shows, all of our hosts, all of our new shows, older shows. You get to check it all out on their website, which is fabulous. Hello, Contessa Martins. Hello, Mish. Hi. Thank you so much, Laura Lee, for giving me a hand and helping me with the sound today. Laura Lee is one of our UPRN hosts here. She has the Angel Rock on Mondays, and she is my dear friend and co-host, and we get to have Beneath the Hollow Moon on Thursday evenings, which is so much fun. If you joined us last night, we were talking about full moon magic and rituals. It was pretty fun. If you participated, I would love to hear your thoughts about the show. Hi, James. Thank you for being here. Hi, Mish. Oh, yeah, no, I appreciate you very much, Sorley. And I find it interesting that we both have that sort of ADHD energy at times. And when those things happen, you know exactly. I don't even have to say that I'm having a wee panic. You just automatically know. And you come in and make it all smooth and easy for me again. Oh, thank you, Michelle. I'm glad that you enjoyed the meditation. Hi, Kurt. I am doing much better. I don't know. I was on Sean Kelly's show on Tuesday night, into the night, and I was not feeling so hot, but it was a great conversation, and I just adore Sean, and he's got such a great show. So Sunday night and Tuesday night, and I'm feeling much better than I was. Thank you. Oh, the whole gang's in here now. All right, let's get started. There's so much to talk about, and I have a lot of questions for my guest. So I am honored and grateful that she agreed to come on, because I feel I have misunderstandings, not quite understanding, and having this opportunity to be educated and to experience, not just for myself, but for people that I care about, and all of you that are our live listeners, and the people that come and support in the chat, that we have this opportunity with Neha. So we have quantum energy practitioner, trauma recovery expert, founder of Unlocked Bliss CIC, creator of the 3 R's process of quantum, Neha Misra.
Namaste, Carolyn. Thank you. The honor is mine.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So I appreciate when the namaste, but my squirrel brain was the weird in me honors the weird in you. That's exactly where I go with it.
Well, the actual translation is the divine in me honors the divine in you. So the weird in you is part of your divine, my love.
Yeah, thank you.
Part of we wouldn't be divine without weirdness. I'm just going to put it out there. If you identify.
And I think we need to embrace the weird, and we need to laugh because it helps us breathe. Yes. We breathe better when we are laughing, and we take those full breaths, right? And it's helpful.
Better in life than the belly laugh. Then it's spontaneous, uncontrollable belly laugh. what is better. They have in India something called laughing yoga. You know that?
Really?
Yeah.
I've had four children and don't practice my Kegels enough. I think I'd probably leak. Or cry, like tears. I may leak in different ways if I was to like do a whole lot of belly laughing yoga. I don't know.
It's all healing. When you cry, it's healing. You may not like it, but the ugly cry, the snot, that's all healing.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
releasing.
but this is so true. It is an uncomfortable, messy journey when you choose to do your healing and have accountability and step into your power. It is
Yeah.
like when I hear that term light and love, I call it stink eye tight butt. I go, well,
I'll keep it out of my meditations then. Noted.
no, but there's a difference. There's a difference when you can feel the energy behind it is authentic and when you can feel it surface level.
Yes. And what you're talking about is intention. And intention
Yes.
is about energy, frequency.
Mm-hmm.
That's what matters. That's right.
It does. The frequency matters. And if it's just a buzzword to get some clicks, it doesn't feel good. And when it's genuine, you gravitate because you know that there is a safe space to feel vulnerable or emotionally fragile, and that space will be held tenderly and with unconditional love. And we need that when we are coming into a healing space feeling broken.
Yes. I couldn't agree more. What she
said. I'll step off the soapbox now.
No problem. I was invested. I was there. I love it. I'm like, yes, say more.
Yeah. And I know Laura Lee and I have had this conversation a lot over the last few weeks. Whatever the energy is that has really shifted since March, I feel since March, but I would love your input, is bringing like-minded frequencies at the same frequency, really pulling us together and from all over. And we seem to really be anchoring in and connecting. And I just love it. Like it doesn't, it feels like waking up with that sense of wonder every day. Like that Christmas morning feel, wonder what's gonna happen today.
Okay, what do we have? What's behind this window today?
Yeah.
Can you family? That's what, even when like I said, namaste to you and your frequency family, because all the viewers, look how this works, the magic of this.
Yeah.
Like, just having a chat, like for me, it's like you're having, your beverage of choice with me, and just, like chilling, but I can feel it. Even though we're thousands of billions of miles away, and I can feel it. You can feel it when the energy of the viewers when they come in. I believe it is a frequency family for me.
It is. I agree, and there's comfort in that as well too, right? There is that comfort. Mish is our friend from Australia who gets up quite early, and she participated, so she's one day ahead. So she is sharing. I had a massive laughing fit last night, haven't done that in a long time, and it felt good.
It really does. It's such a release. I mean, I really do. My company is called Unlock Bliss because I believe being blissful is our birthright. And, one of my trauma responses is my very, very, very dark sense of humor, born out of being a born and bred Londoner as well, where we are known from our, let's say dark humor is probably the most viewer friendly way of putting it.
Right.
But, I keep it because I enjoy it. And even in the healing, it has to be blissful. That's, for me, definitely the idea that it has to be, kind of like loincloths and sacks and ashes and misery. It's enough of a hot mess without it being more drudgery, hard work, painful. consistently, backwards and forwards, never really feeling, grounded or resonating, never really coming into alignment with your own vibration. And I would ascertain fundamentally not taking back your power and taking ownership of your sovereignty. And that's what I
Right.
to wave the banner for.
I love it. Yes. Just and it's so empowering when you start taking those steps and showing yourself grace that it's a slippery slope as you go through it, right? It's a slippery slope. It doesn't even matter. 18 years. I've been doing this work full time for 18 years now. And I still have days where I'm like, where the heck did that pop up from? But I don't sit in it as long. So I'm still celebrating that I recognized it and put what I needed to in place.
Beautiful. I mean, I had that day today. I had like literally the mothers of all day. I did, I went and it triggered all my programming as an Asian woman, as I think I call myself an Indian woman, but I'll use the nickname we use, which is Desi, because you guys have rebranded us into South Asians, and now I'm confused because I don't have the bandwidth to be rebranded for a Gen Z generation. I have enough on my plate at the moment. So,
Yeah.
but my culture, which is from India, Desi culture, is such that basically, as you were saying, we don't give ourselves enough grace. We take
Mhm.
on way too much, and fundamentally feel that we are responsible for everyone else's happiness, but not our own. I always
Mm.
ask the question: if I asked you to name the things that you love, how long would it take you to get to yourself?
Mhm. It's a powerful question. It's a powerful question. And I think what hooked me when I was reading through because our beautiful Beverly Rhodes connected
Yeah,
us,
my favorite.
and
My earth
yeah,
angel on earth.
she is joining our UPRN family next Wednesday, June 18th. So we are quite excited about that.
Oh,
I believe it is 4 p.m. Eastern time. So whatever that works out for you guys. So
yeah, a little bit earlier, actually. Yeah, brilliant.
it will
So,
be a little bit earlier. So when I was reading that introduction, it was the healing without hurting. And I had an experience. It was an energetic healing modality a session that I had gone to, and during that session, I go deep quick. So I went deep quick during the session, and at one point I was seeing and I could feel those traumas over. It was like lifetimes, boom, boom, boom. That's a little movie, and I started to feel like I was choking. And I bolted out, like I sat upright,
right.
and we did what we needed to do. And when I went back down to finish this session,
Mm.
um, this beautiful, all these female spirit guides stood in a circle around me, and all I saw were these fingers, and the fingers went over my eyes, and they said, "You do not have to see to heal it. You do not have to see to heal it." And so I allowed the healing to happen, and it was powerful. A lot of things shifted and deeply, and then propelled me forward. It was a life altering experience. And so when I saw that in that email, that healing without hurting, I know that is possible.
Oh, beautiful.
I know that is possible. So I am anxious to hear. I'm just going to do some quick shout outs. Michelle
Mm.
Pratt, Victoria of Astrolight Paranormal, Fiona Clark, thank you so much. Am I missing anybody? Sam's Pretty Paranormal, thank you so much for being here, Sam. Is there anybody that I missed? Joanne Belisario, thank you. Cindy Waghorn, thank you so much for being here. Steve Surratt, thank you so much. And thank you for being patient while I navigate saying names incorrectly, but I do my best. I do my best. Can you, share what you feel comfortable sharing about your journey to get to where you are today, and how you, yeah, your journey to, we'll start there.
Good
To this point.
Wow.
Stop.
It's been a long time since someone's asked me that. So to give you a bit of context, as you can tell from the accent and the rain in the background, I was born and brought up in London, whatever, triple 20 decades ago. And I come from what you could, I suppose, call a very well educated, well heeled Asian family. But I always get this bit confused. First generation immigrants. I'm the first one that was born here, put it that way. And yeah, and my
that carries generational, energetic generational weight.
Yes. There's a whole conversation. I do a whole workshop around what it is when you are being called an immigrant, when you are first generation immigrant, the energy of that word, as you well know, because of what's occurring. I don't watch the news, but I tune into the energies, and I'm like, my heart goes out to, Los Angeles the last couple of weeks, but it's nationwide and it's worldwide,
Yes.
So that thing in itself, the expectation, and it comes energetically with that sense of lack, because things are tight. Majority of people become immigrants because of fiscal reasons, because of money, better life, better education, and that's why my parents came, and they had
rooted in fear.
Yes, insecurity. Then when you get here, you get not good enough, not equality, you get discrimination, you get the fact that you're different. And then if you're visibly different, you can't even slip under the radar. And, being brought up in 1970s Great Britain was quite the roller coaster ride. On one hand, they just kind of left the hippie movement, peace, love. Well, astrologically, why that the age of Aquarius, quite literally, there was a song. And then we sort of moved into the 70s, but that had a kind of underlying, I suppose you could say, similar to my family, my elder cousins, and in our culture, we consider our cousins traditionally to be like brothers and sisters. They were becoming more militant, I would say, around the way they were being treated. And so they were picking it up and kind of like thinking, hey, no, and so there were a lot of riots in the UK, Brixton riots. So fear, literally. And of course, it's such a brilliant way to control us, to divide us. And what, could be better than dividing people by the very obvious color, skin. And now, of course, the irony being in Great Britain, the national dish is a Desi inspired just dish, and we're known now for our cuisine, whereas back in the day we weren't. But growing up, it was all Indians and immigrants, I think, particularly from very strong cultures. There was a real dichotomy between the Western culture and the Eastern culture. So at home, you were immersed in this Eastern culture, and then you had to go and be an English person or a
and blend in.
Yeah, well, you didn't. So that was a non-starter to begin with. And I went to a Catholic Irish school, so it was,
oh my goodness,
from the age of 4, because it was for the education, blah 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 blah. And my mother's family, but I was very blessed because my mother's family was diplomatic, but so we had a very international experience, and that was really wonderful. But at the same time, for me personally, it was really difficult at home because, and being an only child, I had no benchmark to know that this was or wasn't appropriate child I want to say nurturing, but there wasn't any nurturing. Lack of nurturing. And in a lot of cultures in those days, physical violence with children for forms of discipline was bog standard, even at school.
Yep.
And the nuns, because and this was an interesting thing as well. I realized because I had an Irish nanny as well when I was a baby. There was a lot of similarities between the way the Irish were treated. Again, immigrants, even though they were white, there was still a way that was
Mhm.
found in the collective to divide us, to point out that they're less than, and they'd gone through famine as well, poverty. The priests and nuns, they didn't want to become priests and nuns. They were just the youngest in the family, and that was a way of having them housed and fed. So they would regularly take out their frustration on the kids. So, and again,
And religion was divisive. And religion was divisive.
And it was so confusing growing up in this. So finding a way to somehow kind of, marry those two really extreme in experiences was in itself a massive challenge. When you didn't have the internet, there was no one you could resonate with. There was no one, you were made to watch the films your parents watched, and they just were meaningless. It didn't mean anything. And then I had a further way of feeling really disassociated, even with my own culture, because my parents come from 2 different parts of India and had a love marriage. And that was like, there are really strict kind of, ideas around what makes the perfect desi kind of family lifestyle and whatnot. Marriages are more mergers and acquisitions rather than, but although they used to, apparently back in the day, they were really big on flirting and going out. And I saw something about this recently. I was like, what the heck happened that it changed? So restrictive. But that, our ancient wisdom, our Vedic culture, the source of it, like the source of so many other so-called religions, is at its purest. It's been used by, let's say patriarchy or colonialism as a form of suppression. The whole witch hunt story in England, and America.
Yes, it came over.
Yes.
All of that came over.
You like to share.
Yes.
So that was my life, confused and then when I was around 12, I was I had I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the words for YouTube. I always keep forgetting.
Yes. Thank you for being mindful of that.
So basically, violated and essayed, as we say. And so that didn't help with self-worth, because of course the legacy from that is, shame, blame. And of course you're not supposed to speak about it as a young Asian girl. You must have done something to have caused it. So that was another nice layer of okay. And then off I trotted, never in my wildest dreams believing that this is where I'd end up today. My degree is in fashion, and I still love all things creative.
That's very clear, though. Because you are quite fashionable as I sit in my sunshine and coffee t-shirt.
You know what the most important thing is? It never matters what you put on, it's how you feel and what you're wearing. It's your energy and frequency. I've got a theme here, right?
Yes, I'm all about the energy and frequency. I love it.
Every guy will tell you whenever they find a woman looking attractive, it's when she's confident. It's not all the, we do this. Or, she says sitting here with her nails on her head and everything. This is for us. This is completely, there's a saying that women dress for other women and undress for
I don't know about.
I'm not saying it's for everyone, but it is for some. But my fashion thing for me started my connection to creativity, and that in itself my connection to spirituality, because I was really curious from where it all came from. Like, where does creativity come from if not a connection to your higher self?
Yeah, creativity was my savior, as it was, and reading.
Yes, same.
Any corner, I would climb into a tree in behind our house to get up and away, and I would just get lost in books,
Yeah.
lost and draw and draw and draw and draw and doodle. So creativity, I find many of us that are doing this work have similar stories and similar outlets, right?
Completely.
And
Completely.
yeah, so
Means
from that, moving forward with fashion and seeking out different healing modalities, you landed with quantum healing. And how is like, explain to people who maybe have not experienced how quantum healing would be different from other energetic modalities. What is the difference?
well, if quantum's a big fancy word that looks
It's
good.
very fancy. It's intimidating. I personally find that word intimidating.
That's interesting. That's really
Me
good
too.
feedback. I get it. I was trained originally as a theta healer, and theta is oh, bless her, I just read Laurelie's yes, 100% comment. Sorry for being so distracted. So theta is your brainwave just before you fall asleep, and just when you wake up in the morning, that slightly fuzzy moment when you're like, where am I? What's going on, before everything clicks in and reality comes into focus. And it's that point just before you fall asleep where you're just lulling yourself into that edge. So it's alpha, beta, gamma, theta. And that I call the bedrock of your belief system, because actually what sits in that place, your hidden deep subconscious, when you're half fuzzy, is the seeds to everything, whether
Mm,
it's primal wound or the source of your joy.
right.
So accessing that, and then I really enjoyed theta healing. And again, I never thought I was going to be a healer. I resisted it for 2 years. I was like, listen, I did not walk around in a sarong all the time with my flip-flops, just going shanti.
I get it. I say that all the time. I don't want to sound like a cult leader.
No, I'm a guru. Shame. I'm like, no, this is not me. This is Alaska raves. And what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not how healers are supposed to look. And because again, the perception.
Yes, how we perceive.
And you
Um,
did it. So you said you did it 18 years ago. It's nearly 2 decades. When you said the word healer, people just went, oh, woo woo, a little bit.
oh, yeah, there was a lot of words. Even I use the word psychic medium now, and
Mm,
before I used to very much hide away from the word psychic because of my perception or perceived perception of what that was, and knowing the difference again energetically about where I knew I was going to be coming from and what I was going to offer
mm,
and what I had saw other places, right? And didn't want to be clumped into that.
mm. So that I love that. And to go back to finish your point about the quantum healing, so it actually just takes 17 seconds for the neurons, easy for me to say, for the neurons in your brain to latch onto a thought. That's why they specifically design TikTok reels and social media for 15 seconds, probably now if you're lucky. So that's how, because you either read the title, you resonate, you believe in it, you don't believe in it. 15 seconds. So the thing I realized was, if that works in that way, it can work in reverse if you get to the primal wound in your theta state. If you get to the seed of that wound where it started, in 17 seconds, you can reverse it. What takes longer with healing and makes it hard work is too often we deal with the surface layer. So we're constantly mowing the lawn. We never really get down and dirty into that. Think of it like a lake. On top of a lake, it's so beautiful and placid and gorgeous. But if you actually just slice it down the middle, you'd go down the layers to the really grimy bedrock of it, the dirt, where the ecosystem actually operates, where everything is given birth to. And it's not pretty down there. It's really dark and murky. There's not much sunlight, all the creepy
Yeah.
corners, but you have to get in there to get rid of that before you can sow in more fertile soil in more cleared up, released trauma, when your body's not so inflamed because it's either in fight or flight, filled with adrenaline, cortisol, and all of that, that then makes you sick, more anxious, and then your neurons in your brain get hardwired, and you get fixed to that, and you have to cut that.
So do you find what you have to offer in the way that you provide that space
Yes.
for people, because we have to allow it, right? We have to agree to be in the space and allow that
Oh, yes, 100%.
to be integrated, marries well or blends or contributes to holistic healing with people if they are also doing traditional therapy and counseling. Traditional therapy and counseling can only go so far, same as grief counseling. Grief counseling can only go so far, and I fill that little gap up where I can take that somewhere else in the way that I work in connecting with your loved ones on the other side. So do you find people that come, may have had some traditional counseling or therapy as well too, and then this is the next level, like it's that piece, like this is good and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to, but there's still something that's not quite healed, or I'm not quite getting there yet and I don't know why? Is that the type of person that finds you?
100%. I mean, I'm really blessed. Most of my clients, especially my private clients, because the CIC in England stands for Community Interest Company, so it's like a non-profit. So that's what I do for the community. And then I have private clients, like I've had some Hollywood clients, and they fund my community projects. So it's like a cyclical thing. Yeah. But in the UK, we go by funding and donations. But yes, because I always do, to give this analogy. Do you remember the Princess and the Pea fables?
Yes.
Yeah. And so there's a pea underneath the 27 layers of mattresses. And, we'll forget about why he was testing her. That's a whole different show. But,
okay. I'm there for it.
Yeah, we'll leave out the knock, tendencies, and stick with the point. Is that she could feel there was something that was troubling her. She didn't know what it was. She just felt unsettled. She didn't feel in herself, but she knew that there was something was irritating her. And that's how it works in your deep subconscious. Because it's like a magnet, like an anchor. It doesn't matter how many affirmations you say in the mirror. I love myself, I this, I that. If deep down you have a counterintuitive belief, you're always just going to be like opposing magnets. And that's unsettling.
I say that all the time. Your body knows, your spirit knows when you're lying, and your body responds in a way to remind you that that it is a lie. So I've always encouraged, I started with my children, then with how I teach and stuff like that too, that if the affirmation doesn't feel truthful, you have to change how you're saying it, right? So I'm in the process of loving myself wholly and completely, or I'm in the process of being my whole authentic self, and then you're taking the steps and actions to make it truthful, right? Like it matters. Mish is asking a great question. Sorry to stop you mid-thought, but why is it so easy to attach to the negative thought than the positive thought?
Because probably before you're around about 7, which especially in the ancient divine wisdom, the Vedic ancient divine wisdom, we believe that the soul is more attached to the mother up to the age of 7. Even Shakespeare talks about it, the 7 stages of life. But at the age of 7, you start to pull away and you become more independent. But if you've experienced any kind of trauma before that, not just necessarily before, after as well, what happens is, as I said, if you haven't released it, if the trauma from your deep subconscious has not been released, if you haven't cut your cords, energetic ties to the trauma as well, because the experience holds a trauma as well.
Right.
And that's something people forget, that they have to cut the ties from the experience of the trauma as well as bringing back their soul fragment. Then that's another part of healing as well, because when something traumatic happens, this is how self-caring and phenomenal we are as humans. what happens is you're kind of a bit of your soul gets taken away, so you're not fully present. And that's kind of cotton wool, and especially the more traumatic it is, definitely there's a disassociation, particularly for people who've gone through severe SA and SRA. That's what happens. That's why often they don't remember what happened later, because they haven't had their soul fragments washed, cleansed, and returned whole. That's like an important part of. So my first step of my modality, the 3 R's, is the reveal step. Find the source of the primal wound. Get to that really quickly. And I have the ability to use my intuition, and I have a guide that I should explain, because he does appear through me, especially when I energetically connect. But I've always wanted, as you know about the fashion inspiration, to look really glamorous when my guide comes in and, like waft my hair and flutter my eyelashes. I unfortunately look like I'm auditioning for a horror movie, and I get itchy and go all over the place, and I yelp a bit. And it, just to warn people, it doesn't hurt me. It's like it's a quantum thing, because quantum is instant. It's a momentary instant I get of the energy, and that makes me yelp as if he's kicked me under the table, because I'm too busy engaged and listening. Neha's ego is fully there. She's not bothered about what's happening.
And it's hard to explain to people that have not experienced when you really are here and there's a whole other thing happening here.
Exactly. So he comes in, and I the first thing I do is to teach my clients is muscle testing, because they use it as an assessment tool.
I love muscle testing.
Brilliant, isn't it?
My oldest is in a high functioning autistic. He's brilliant, he's fabulous, creating this magical life for himself. We did muscle testing for him when he was very young, with pretty much everything and anything, foods, stuff, everything. And it was life-changing for him.
It's amazing. So I use it when we make statements. And we make statements, not questions, because questions have a myriad of answers. So we make statements saying, I love myself. Muscle test that, yes or no. And if you say no, then that's coming from your deep subconscious, because that's what muscle testing does. It bypasses the monkey mind to get down to the deep subconscious. So I use that, if I get a download or something from a guide, or something comes into my head, I'm clairsentient. So I was like, no, listen, the world is like quite horrific enough. I do not want to open all the clairs, see everything, hear everything. I've experienced enough trauma in my own life. I'm good with the guide, the kicking guide, and the thoughts. But when that comes in, I then get my client to muscle test. Does that ring true for you? Then we release it. Then we muscle test again to see it's been released.
Perfect. Yeah.
And that way they know it's happened as well.
Mish is asking, can you show how to muscle test quickly?
Yes, 100%. So her muscle testing, the one key thing about it is you must be hydrated. So put the tequila shots down, everyone. Do it with us. No, hydrated, because we're mostly water. Water carries frequency and energy, right?
Yes.
So that's why. And there's a couple of ways of doing it. One of the simplest ways is, I'll show you first of all. You just take your thumb and finger and rub it like you've got a little bit of string between the two of them, and then just say the words yes, and then see what it feels like. You can see mine. Obviously, I've been doing this for a long time. But then you say the words no, and then you can see mine comes exactly to a standstill. So you'll feel a difference. If that doesn't work, this is absolutely foolproof. Did it with my kids. My youngest client is 5 and my eldest is 95. Oh yeah, I've got a lot of junk in the trunk, so excuse the view. Obviously it wasn't designed for that. But you just ground yourself, ideally barefoot, and then just relax. No right or wrong. This is an assessment tool. It's a ruler. This is just, the way to judge it. You say yes, and then just allow your body to go where it has to go, and then come back again and say no, and use your body as a human pendulum. And then, in kinesiology, they use it with the arm. But those are the ways I find best. And if you go, all my social media is unlocked. If you go on Instagram, you'll see a video. I've got COVID hair because I've got a turban on. It's my pandemic hairstyle.
My
See,
sister, I used to be a hairstylist. My sister's a hairstylist. My sister-in-law, my son's a barber. It's like none of us had bad hair during our lockdown years. Like it
you're
was
again.
good.
I just had an array of turbans.
I I always encourage people to ask themselves questions that maybe are that have no emotional connection to them. Is it in my best interest to have ice cream when I'm done the class today?
Completely. That's how you start. So, and as
Yeah.
you say, rather than questions, just statements, because there's another mistake lots of people make. So you say, it is rather than is it. It
Mm,
is for my highest and best good to have this ice
yeah.
cream. Kids hate it when you do it with them because they'll be
Yeah.
like this.
Yes, they do.
And I'll be like, oh, show me muscle test. It is. But they just run. They didn't even bother to stay. It is for your highest and best good. Eat this food, wear this dress. I use it for everything. Go down this street, book this holiday, phone this girl, sleep with this dude.
So, do you sleep with this dude?
Or do that. No, honestly, I'm telling you, my girlfriend once I was talking to her, literally, I said, "This dude likes me," and then I started yelping, and she was like, "Oh God, the guys have come in. It's a no." I was like, "Exactly."
So, okay, I have a question about the muscle testing.
Yes.
For those people who are listening and not able to watch, you stood up and
Yes.
you made the statement and you allowed your body to move.
Yes.
And
Like a
do
pendulum.
you find that's part of why people are disconnected or not able to? It is connecting all of our bodies. People have been so disconnected from their physical body, they're unable to feel or sense that sign or symbol or message from their higher self saying. So would breath or holding your breath um, affect the outcome? If you hold your breath while you're waiting to see if you move, does that affect you? Would you, or do you need to
I
make sure that you're having those full breaths? I just want to, I don't know if that's a good question or not, but that's where
it
my
is.
mind went.
It is because I generally say, and I apologize, I should have done that at the beginning. I do say drop into your heart center, and if they go like, I don't know what that means, it's too woo woo, just put your hand on your heart and just think
Yes,
about your heart.
me
That's
too. That's what I
that's
tell people all the time.
yeah. It's not complicated. It's been
Yeah.
overly complicated because they're like, oh, we're the guru, pay me thousands of pounds for me to no, drop into your
No.
heart center. Put
Yes.
your focus, your thoughts. All you have to do is think about your heart. Go down into that. You connect with ideally your vagus healing nerve by breathing in for 4, hold for 2, breathe out for 6. And if that's too much to remember, just remember your out breath should always be longer than your in breath. That's it.
Mhm.
So simple.
Yeah.
Just do that, a couple of rounds of that, because it grounds you and brings you back into your energetic body. And
Yeah.
most of the time we're too busy,
Yeah.
push.
And with practice with that breath, when you practice, you do one breath, you breathe in, whoop, hit your third eye, your crown, down your spine, whoop, back up, and you're ready to go. Like connected, grounded, bring it on. It's not complicated.
No, it's not complicated. And it's all you need. Because without it, you have nothing. Guess what? Without
Yeah.
your breath, there isn't more.
And it's the confidence, like you don't give your power away to other people to give you the answers. You may ask someone to just double check if it feels like an emotionally charged place, and but if you've taken the time over time, it does um yeah, you feel more confident making your decisions and life changes.
100%. That's why I say for me, muscle testing, it just gives you clarity on every choice, every decision. And here's the thing behind how muscle testing works. Muscle testing is not like it gives you an absolute answer because there are no absolute answers. What did they say? There's only the end of the destination and taxes that are the absolute truths, right? Otherwise, everything is our perception where we put our focus and energy. But what muscle testing does is it taps into those deep, dark, hidden thoughts that are holding you back so that you can bring those to the surface and heal them. It's
Yeah.
not like it's true and that was the truth and that's the absolute truth. It's what you're believing deep down. The disconnect has become, we rely too much on our monkey mind, our cerebral inner dialogue. To go back to Mish's question about why it goes to negative, I apologize. You know, as I said earlier, if you've gone through any traumatic thing, especially when you're younger, your neurons in your brain get hardwired that way. So you go back to it because it's familiar. And in fact, that familiarity stops you sometimes when you've healed, because there's a space there and you're unfamiliar with it and you don't know what to put into that space. So
Yeah.
sometimes you hop from one thing to another because you still haven't healed the primal wound.
Or it's a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah. But the primal wound is still firing
Yeah.
on. It's still got the flame on. You have to put that flame out, distinguish it, clean it, put it to bed, heal it.
Yeah.
And from that place, you can grow. And then
Yeah.
it's miraculous.
And it's that work of forgiveness and gratitude and all of those bits and layers that come afterwards, right?
Exactly.
Mish is asking a great question, but I'm feeling your word already and what the response is going to be. I'm sorry about that.
Oh my God.
Does our soul, Mish asked, does our soul breathe or is it only our bodies?
Oh wow, that's a really interesting question. I mean,
It's a
for me,
frequency.
yeah, it's like see, breath is movement, as you said, frequency. Otherwise, it would just be linear, a dead line, right? If nothing was happening. So if your soul is just going flatlining, that's what you call it, isn't it? If
Yeah.
there's no movement and frequency, it's not happening. That, for example, um, sometimes you can be in that situation where you think, look, I've come to the end of it. I have fought the big fight. I'm done. I'm exhausted. I've had enough. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm over at school. This is a failure. I'm going to give up. I'm not going to follow my dreams. But something inside you stops you and say, yeah, but this is your passion. No, you do have a place in this world. No, you can find love. No, you're not unlovable. There is a very distant echoing that's coming from your soul breathing. It's
Yeah.
breathing back that life into you, back into those. It wants you to resonate. So that's how I would try and explain it, if that makes sense.
It does. Do you think that there's a misconceptions about quantum healing? Do you think there are, what would be the top ones that you
It's a fancy made up word. It's
or
intimidating.
instant fixes
Sorry, say that again. I didn't.
or an instant fix, like because it's not really an instant fix.
Can be. Shall I
Mm.
want to do a demo?
Yes.
Shall we do a
Yes.
demo with the viewers? And
Yes.
this even I don't know how to do, well, our listeners, they can text in later, but
Let me double check. Okay, I'm going to do our station ID before we start digging deep. So that way, then I don't have to stop us mid-process. So I'm going to do our station ID,
okay.
and then we can go right to the end. We can start back up with our conversation, and we can. Then
How
we're
long
not
is the
interrupting
station
anything.
ID for?
Pardon?
How long is the station ID for? Is it like
Ooh, you do what you need to do, and I'm going to take up all that time while you do what you need to do, and then we can dig in. Okay. Fabulous. So thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, you can run. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. If you are just joining us, you are listening to Spirit Switchboard, and I am your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. You can head to uprntalkradio.com to find all of our shows and hosts. There's always new shows that are coming. I think that we actually have 2 new shows on our Friday lineup, which is wonderful. We have a new show coming this Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern with Beverly Rhodes. You guys are going to love it. Lots happening all the time. So I appreciate you being here. So I agree, Sam. That was a great question that Mish asked. If when we, Contessa. Oh, sorry, Mish, there was more to that. Wait, let's back up. I'm going to get Laura Lee's up. Physically, Laura Lee is sharing, physically, I think the body does only breathe. Energetically, we don't have a body to breathe, but we have that energetic source like breath as a soul already, I believe. Great question, Mish. Maybe both breathes. And when we sink, our body is when we can grow more spiritually. I think it's frequency, though. Like our soul has its own unique frequency. Every one of us has our own tone. And our physical body needs us to breathe. Laura Lee. Oh, thank you. Physically, a body needs breath to love, but as a soul, we don't have a body. We have that energy within the soul already. Contessa is sharing, if when we pass, our soul leaves, wouldn't that mean the soul gives the body breath? We went down a very interesting path with these questions. If when we pass, our soul leaves, I think that our soul is that spark that inside us, a frequency, our light that's inside, that's connected to all that is. These are great conversations, though. Oh, Laura Lee, is your phone acting possessed? It is a rabbit hole question, but I like those kind of questions. I also believe that there's some questions that we will never know the full answer to until after we die, because we're not meant to know until then. That's what I believe too. That some of those questions we're just not meant to know. Are there conditions that help us respond better or be more open to quantum healing?
I think if you are open to the belief that healing doesn't have to be hard work, we believe it has to be. We believe it has to be earned, that it's something that we have to really be pious about, that it has to be in this kind of very linear, yeah. And I think that there, it's our monkey mind. It's the endless dialogue that we have all the time that gets in the way. And that's, as I said, once it gets wired to the neurons to go through those pathways, it's all in the deep subconscious. So if you're open to the idea that it's not as it's been perpetuated as it, then it can be instant. As I said, we'll
okay. And so we do not need other members in our immediate intimate circle, family members, to be on the same path in order for it to be whole healing for ourselves.
Not at all. Because my belief as well is that, when I changed this and really kind of gave birth to this was, during the pandemic. And I thought, hang on, look what's happening in the world. This is nuts, as quite a few of us did. And I thought, how on earth can I go about healing humanity? And it came to me, you don't, you heal yourself, and you heal yourself, that heals your world. You know, there is in the Vedic culture, there is this fable, you could say, if you don't want to have war on this planet, then you don't have war in countries. If you don't want war in countries, you don't have war in cities. If you don't have war in cities, then you don't have war in homes. I'm shortcutting it. If you don't have war in the home, you don't have war in your heart. It comes back to, you know, the important things you said earlier is self-acceptance, because even self-love, if you've not been shown how to, if you've, for example, been brought up like I was in, you know, I was 58 when I was diagnosed as an adult survivor of child abuse. Sorry, but oh no, I forgot about the words.
RCA, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So because recently I've been talking to people off air, and then they're like, "You're what now?" And so I have to keep clicking
Yes.
safe
It's
words.
all good, though. I appreciate you being cognizant of that.
So
Thank
I
you.
apologize. But you know, that was such a shock to me. I was like, what do you mean? I'm highly functioning. I'm a mother of two, and you know, I have a business and like this. And they were, no, because you were taught that that was, you know, love was A, and A was love.
Mm.
That's one of the things you first, if you've gone through any kind of situation or experience similar to me, that's the first things we have to kind of like cut, release, release from the core. And nobody wants to repeat their experience, because every time we repeat it, the brain doesn't understand the difference between the past and the present. So you re-trigger the memory, and it's as if your body experiences as if you've gone through it again. And that's why it's so critical to heal that from your deep subconscious, because you don't want to be perpetually re-triggered without knowing it. Because again, once you're re-triggered, you're back in fight or flight or freeze.
Right.
Your, you know, your body, everything within your physical body is on high alert, and you start, you know, to get inflammation, then you get sick, and then that's how you go down that rabbit hole. And that's
Right.
why say that it is possible even to do it with yourself. You just have to not you have to trust the muscle testing, but then that is also about trusting yourself, because all you're doing is attuning to your higher self, and we've been programmed not to.
When we do the healing, is it releasing generationally or ancestrally at the same time? So it's not separate work, it's all one?
It's all one in the mantra, and I'm happy to do one later and show you. And also,
Yeah.
and I call it a mantra because, you know, again, in our Vedic culture, when you say a mantra, you become the mantra, and that's why I call it a mantra on purpose.
Ah.
And then,
So I believe that you're going to, like, in showing us this answers Lordly's question. She had, I'll put it up. I believe this is what you're about to do for us, which I appreciate. It's so generous of you to do this. Neha, how does someone release deep-seated belief systems that no longer serve oneself, such as unworthiness or of abundance or an inability to truly love oneself, etc.? Just a thought as it relates to your beautiful healing practices.
no, what love! I met Laura Lee. What lovely energy he has. I met her briefly earlier. Beautiful.
Yes.
The proper FOMO for her purple hair. That's my favorite color. I was like, oh damn, she nailed
Beautiful.
it. Slay queen.
And once, so I think Azria is coming on her show as well too. So having the pink and purple is going to
Oh,
be.
I know. She is the pink, gorgeous pink little thing, Pixie. Going back to Laura Lee's question, Laura Lee, I'm pronouncing it correctly. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. And bless you, I wanted to really acknowledge you were so sweet to ask me to how to pronounce my name. Like seriously, members of my family don't even know how to do that. So I was so touched. It's actually Sanskrit for one who loves. So I think I
Oh,
named very appropriately.
yeah.
Because that's what I want to do. I want to make a positive difference with love. That's it.
Me
That,
too.
that's the mission statement. That's it. So simple. But I'll give you a little demo on how quantum energy works instantly. And then if you like, I can go further and dive deeply and answer Laura Lee's question and show you how I would do that, say, for example, in a session, and how I do it in my group workshops if you're up for it.
I would
And
love that.
that's awesome. And you said something really pertinent earlier, which is, all you have to say yes to receive it. Never work with someone who doesn't even ask your permission, I would say, because they must respect universal laws. So if it's not for you, you don't have to write yes in the chat. You don't have to, if you really want extra protection, cross your arms and legs. But if it's not for you, but otherwise just say yes and write it in the chat and you receive it. But color magic, have a little fun with me here. This is how it works. So think of something. You don't have to tell me what it is. Think of something that's giving you a lot of grief, makes your heart very heavy, makes you feel like, oh my goodness me, this is so not what I never thought it was going to be like this. Something pretty big that touches you personally. Now, bearing in mind there's no right or wrong answer, and you're going to tell me because I can't see the chat, but write in the chat, what color is that? So if you want to play along, you can play along with me, Carolyn.
Okay, I'm writing. I'll write. I'm writing.
Okay, well, no, just tell me, what color is it?
What color is my weight?
Well, no, think of something that really, as you say, weighs you down, gives you a lot of heartache and sadness, and just anything. Don't tell me what it is. Think of whatever comes to mind, and then tell me what color is it.
Oh, we have everybody commenting at the same time. So mine was orange. Katie Voorhees is saying green. There's a number of people saying green. Katie green, Contessa blue, Laura Lee black, Jen red, Sam dark maroon, and Mish greeny black.
Oh, okay. Now here's the second part. Again, remember, no right or wrong answer in this. This is just playing. What color should it be? Top of your head. First thing you can think of. If it was orange to begin with, what color should it be?
Oh, I went immediately to opalescent.
There. And they can write in the chat what color it should be. And what happens, you'll know your face just lit up. Did you feel a different energy to it when you went to the different colors?
It swooshed down right to the bottom of my feet, actually.
And it went to a lighter, more iridescent, divine color, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's quantum energy. That's the instant. You changed it with your thought, with your frequency. Again, going back to why do we go back to negative thoughts? Our thoughts are so very powerful. And we are pitted against each other by, I would suggest, social media, by the collective. We've been brought to think we're in competition and that we have to measure ourselves against everybody else, that our value is tied in other people's judgment and opinion. And I just say, I don't think so. Oh, what a beautiful message, Sam. Pretty Paranormal. Great name as well. So that's how it works. It's that quick. Obviously, there you go, green to white. And so next time you're going absolutely, oh wow, love that, Laura Lee. When you whether it is you're in traffic or your boss is like, yeah, or whatever, your husband, your kid. What you're doing is, again, taking back your sovereignty and your power, because it's not that external thing anymore. It's not filled with the fear, the worry, and everything else. You've taken it to another place where it's divine, where it's lighter, it's energetic, the frequency. We go back to the frequencies. As you said, it was an interesting rabbit hole we went down with, does the soul breathe or not? But then I think of breath as movement. So again, frequency and movement. It's like, why does music resonate? Because again, sound, frequency, all of this, there's a commonality. Even, the words we use, our words are charged with frequency, right?
Well, do the colors have frequency, or are we assigning our own frequency to those colors?
Oh, so what I did was that I didn't know the answer to that. So I did what is my muscle testing, which is what
I do it this way too.
Oh yeah. And I came up with yes. And I think it must do because, as we said, certain colors, for me, there came a point when I was, again, diagnosed with CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress syndrome, which is a series of small, ongoing traumatic experiences that perpetually happen. And I was just, most days, God bless her, my daughter said, I know when you're unhappy, mama, because you bring out the ugly clothes.
That's funny. And back to fashion.
Back to fashion. All right, sweet, back to fashion.
My son, he knew from a very young age because he was very observant. Well, he is very intuitive as well too, and he saw like Kuan Yin when he was 3, channeled her when he was 3. But
Wow.
he said to me, "I know when you are because you always bite." I have a scar from having done it from the time I was little to adult.
There was my spirit going, ouch. Ooh. No, there's some messages coming through for you, yeah. Because there's trauma there. So ouch. And you can muscle test that. I have trauma from that incident. And then the next bit, the next stage you do is you go, this is my primal wound. So if you want to take a deep dive, I have trauma from, if you don't mind, if I have your permission to use that example you just talked about, you have trauma from that. This is my primal wound. It came up for me as a no. Then you dive a little deeper and you allow that thought to come into your head, whatever it might be. And people go, I don't know the answer. And then I say, well, what would the answer be if you did know? And then you get the answer.
So, like a specific instant, like experience?
Oh, wait, it can be an experience. Most likely, especially with me, it comes through as a thought. So, if it was, with, we're not in a personal
Biting my
private
lip?
section, so I don't want to go into your particular situation any further. But you could, if it says this is my primal wound, you've hit, gold dust. That's where you want to be. Then you have to ask make two more statements, which is one, I've learned everything I need to learn from this, because don't forget,
Mm,
you're learning. If you don't learn the
right.
lesson,
Here we go again.
same skirt, different woman, same trousers, different boy. If you don't learn the lesson, how
Right.
many times we're like, oh my God, I think I've done this rodeo before. That's really important to learn the lesson. And the other one is really important is I'm ready to release this. Because going back to why, people struggle with the concept of healing, of the idea that healing can be without hard work, is we get very tied to our trauma, to the experience. As I said earlier, you have to cut your ties with the experience, because it becomes part of us. I'm not saying that your feelings are not valid, but you can get engulfed in that, kind of repetition storytelling of your being that incident, being the victim, being whatever. We all
Well,
do.
for some people, that's their creative outlet is creating the drama attached to the victim mentality.
100%. 100%.
Does that
Yeah.
make me? I was going to use a salty word for that. Does that make me sound like a TWAT?
No. Oh my God. That's a word. No, no,
Yes.
it's completely that. I mean,
Mhm.
because, you know, say for example, like in 2020, when so many people, I mean, I had a very blessed situation. I always say that I was actually on a beach in Thailand because I'd gone to a festival.
Right.
But we got stranded out there. So, but as I said, we were all in the same storm, but we weren't in the same boats. But for many people whose identity came with their job, with their social standing, with their position in the family, when they were stripped of all of that rather radically, suddenly you had to go, who am I? Who am
Yeah.
I? I don't, I'm not the big boss, or I'm not the mummy mafia, or the PTA girl, or the goddess, and whatever it might be. Um, and the labels become very comforting. I'm always wary of labels because
Me too.
we're so
I
multi.
love feeling the frequency.
No. We're so multidimensional, and it goes around in the collective. Like, of course, it's very common to say, "Oh, my ex was a narc, and this, that, and the other, and gaslighter." And I know these zeitgeist words, and listen, I've had them used with me, and my members of my family described that way, and I've resisted for a long time until their behavior got to a point. I was like, "Oh, actually, maybe we'll give you this. You're really wanting to prove this point." But what I'm saying is, we're multidimensional, beings who are all works in progress. And again, going back to self-love, that's the point, is to get to the place where you have full acceptance. Before comes self-love, becomes full acceptance with no judgment, no self-shaming or blaming. Get to that place first. People go, "I can't self-love myself." No, because you're judging yourself in that statement. "I'm not self-loving myself enough."
Yes. Okay, let's just could you give us those 3 statements, or the statements again, so we identify, where is this a primal?
Yes. Is it a primal wound, or a primary, or a seed? I say a seed as an SEED, belief. Is this the source of it? Is this where this started? That's what we're looking for. Not the pretty flowers and things that you've sort of cultivated and managed to take on board so that you can function, as a relatively normal human. No, we're not looking for the surface layer stuff. We're looking to what gave birth to this idea, so that we can pull it out from there. And as we pull it out from there, we pull out everything else that has grown from it. For example, like imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is up here. Again, another zeitgeist words, but I get it. But fundamentally, it's about not being good enough.
Mm-hmm.
It is about not being good enough. You get to not being good enough, and you muscle test. We could do this. We could do one that Laura Lee suggested, because that now how quantum energy works. I'm happy to do that if you want to have a go with the listeners.
Yeah, so for sure.
Okay, so as I said, you can obviously don't do this if you're driving or in charge of heavy machinery. And if you are, that's really impressive. You're listening to this.
Or under the influence of anything.
Yeah, you might have a slightly different experience. I mean, you give it a go. Give it, I don't know. Who knows? Give it a go and let me know. But definitely not after, let's say not after alcohol in particular. Because again, it's about hydration. I crack my jokes, but it's about hydration.
Alcohol makes sad sadder.
Sorry.
It makes sad sadder. So we're trying to release it, not embrace it and comfort it like a teddy bear.
And the point is we're trying to drill down and deep dive to the essence of it. So anything else is just going to cloud it. And, because that's the whole point, isn't it, of why we do things that are distracting or things that put us under the influence, is to disassociate ourselves. And we're trying to do the opposite, to bring ourselves back into ourselves.
Does it change us cellularly?
Yes.
Am I saying that word correctly?
Yes, Charles has changed your DNA to your cell. And to answer your question, when you heal yourself with this, you heal 8 generations behind and 8 generations.
Josh.
That's how proper energy works. Yeah, if it's proper, because you think about your experience that you talked about, your life-changing experience. It's life-changing as you change. We're frequencies, we're DNA. You and I are now actually, as you said, we're all kind of intermingled in this frequency, as we are with the viewers and listeners. And so you were in your home with your children. So it became a life-changing experience for them too. This positive and traumatic, because we know traumatic ones have the same influence. So stress is very sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but stress is very what's the word? It's what's the word? Catching, like a cold. They've shown physical studies where you can children pick ups when their parents are stressed, for example.
So I knew when I was doing sessions and I was doing like energetic cord cutting and releasing and stuff like that for clients, or doing any of that work, especially when my children were younger, because they're all energetically sensitive and intuitive, like their mama from.
I was going to say, it could be anything other.
And, but I would I never thought at the beginning to make sure that I asked for or seeing it. I would just do it, but I would not use the words like letting it be transmuted back into love or, seeing it that way. I was not necessarily so kind of stumbling along in the dark as I was getting this information. And I could see like the kids would kind of be miserable. And then as soon as I shifted that frequency and tapped into it differently when I was working, then they were experiencing the energy in the space, and they weren't even in the room or aware of what I was doing, but they would respond to it. So I just wasn't aware like that 8 generations back. But honestly, my squirrel brain went to this really bad date that I had with this person who told me that I was cursed 10 generations back, and that's why I had the ability that I had. So then, like if I don't buy that, but I'm buying this.
Well,
you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
No. But that's kind of like the point of that I think it was Mish or Laura Lee said, why do we go to the negative before the positive? Because it's already lane. That path has already been walked, especially because of in those first 7 years, if you haven't walked the path of how to be safe, loved, nurtured in a flourishing way, but as opposed to the opposite, again, stumbling over the words, then that path has been well trodden. You're really familiar with it. I remember even as a kid in my most depressive moments thinking, you know what, actually, I don't want to escape this because it's better the ditch I know. I know every single inch of this ditch. So I'd rather be in the familiar. Again, as I said, we get tied to the trauma. We get tied. Our bodies, even when you're addicted to something, say, for example, you talk it spiritually, but even more spiritually, energetically, you get addicted to something. And when you stop that addiction, there's a period of time of transition where you're still craving it because your body's been used to it. And your thoughts and your brain work the same way. They've been used to being harsh on yourself, putting everybody else before, being a people pleaser, not checking in with your body, grounding yourself, making sure you're in your energetic body, not
I'm
listening.
feeling called out.
Yeah.
And that's like the root of your message is that healing can be soft and healing can be loving.
Yeah. I think it should be.
And deep.
I think it should be blissful. Being blissful is our birthright. We forgot. I mean, the first course I do, I intentionally set a very high price for a single session if you come to me for 1 or 2 bespoke, because I'd rather you had 3 sessions to build some momentum and foundations, because it's too easy, like the bungee jump, to go to the knee-jerk reaction. It's too easy. It's just quick grab and go, because also think about how many thoughts are going through our head at any one time, and now we're all so overstimulated. I said to my daughter the other day, I was like, why am I writing an email with a podcast going on in the background and some other humming music going on? I mean, since when did I become like a 14-year-old and need 18 outlets of over distraction? You and I talked about how we used to escape so easily into books. It is the energy of a book. You can feel it's not the same as a Kindle. That paper has energy, it has worn fingers. It's exactly the smell. It has been looked upon and gazed upon by, cried upon and laughed upon by other humans. A frequency and an energy. That's why we love those things. When we had very simple pathways to escape in. And now look at the world, as I said, how can we all not be like overstimulated at one point? I sold my car and went back to, I got one recently when my mom got sick, and there's an electrical thing. It's like a spaceship. And again, this is how programming works, because I've been driving for whatever 1,800 decades before with a stick shift and the key and everything. I still get into the damn thing and look for how to put it in a thing, and I'm like, what? And then I'm having to do this instead to just drive the damn thing. It's like cyclists, and there's pedestrians, and then there's electric scooters, and you have to be mindful for all of that. And I feel like if you don't If you're not in your energetic body and you don't check into yourself, you are just flailing among. It's like playing bumper cars all the time. You're destined to hit something at some point. And
Yeah.
I think that if you can find a way, and whatever modality you asked me, do you do other things as well? You can do everything all at the same time if it resonates with you. You can muscle test to see and check in on that. But fundamentally, someone once said to me, the difference between religion and spirituality is religion says this is the only way to get to nirvana, heaven, whatever. You have to do it this way, only this way, this ritual, this, that, and the other. Spirituality is do what brings you joy.
Mm-hmm.
And we've forgotten how to have joy.
Mm-hmm.
We've forgotten how to play. I felt like I've been playing with you today. I felt it be joyful and silly and
Mm-hmm.
weird and interesting. It's joyful,
Mm-hmm.
like
And it should be.
sorry, I didn't catch that.
And it should be. It should
Yes,
be like
exactly. And that's you said what's the biggest challenges? That's the paradox. We've forgotten, but just like the ancient wisdom, we've forgotten the source and essence of everything. And we're too busy with the wrapping and the shiny paper of all the stuff that's going on right now everywhere.
Did I get you sideways? Were you going to do one more exercise with us or something else? Okay.
Yes, I would love to. Absolutely. If you all want to participate. Well, I think it was Laura Lee said, was it Laura Lee or Miss said about how do we, was it, oh God, sorry, the comment was a while ago. Was it abundance and self-love and was it?
Yes. Let me
Just a few of the basic biggies.
worthiness of abundance and self-love. So
Yes, it's worthiness, deserving. These are the biggies. So, the first thing, supposing we were to have a session, and is that I would say muscle test. I am. Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful, Laurelie. Sorry, I apologize for those listening. Like, why did she stop mid-sentence?
yeah,
But
it was the first message I received from my son Justin was find little bits of joy every day after he crossed. And it was Lord Lee that had made who had asked the question. I'm sorry, Lord Lee, I was trying to find it. I know that you'd probably
worthiness. We'll start with worthiness. The guide's coming to say
the most of it.
So
there we go. Sorry.
No, awesome. The first thing to do is muscle test, and go back to standing. Use your body as a pendulum, or rub your fingers together like you've got a bit of string between them. Yes, no. And then just say, yeah, because you can do it properly. You don't look quite like more batshit crazy than I normally look if I'm starting to do this. Right,
but I teach using your body like a human pendulum with intuition, like when I'm teaching intuitive development as well too. Like, and to tap in, like when you're receiving your signs and symbols, your body is giving you a yes and no at the same time. So pay attention to it.
Yeah, that is quantum energy healing. It's just that I suppose
I never thought of that. Like you're blowing my. Thank you.
But you got to hand trendy on TikTok, so that you've got to have the big fancy title, and then you can't say you're a therapist, you can't say you're a healer. So look, I'm a practitioner, made my own modality. It's really this simple. I just want everyone to get to happy quickly, because I always say, like, I know I'm good company, but it's a hell of a boring party if it's just me. So I want everybody there at the same. It's all about me. I just want everyone at the party at the same time.
So I forget your birthday and Laura Leah's birthday are. Oh no, your birthday's in March.
Yes, March.
Your birthday's in March.
Yeah, that was my trick.
I thought all of us big Leo energy in here.
No, I'm proper Piscean, left, right. Well, in the Western astrology, obviously there is the Vedic astrology as well. It's a whole different ball game. But in Western astrology, I am Pisces in everything except for my rising sign is Capricorn, which just about saves me and why I work so hard. All the intuition comes from the Piscean. Yeah. And I think, mirror. Lauralee. She I'm yeah, again, sorry, I should read the comments out. It must just sound like I've got ADHD now, because every now and then
We
I
can
stop.
read them out loud, so it's perfectly okay.
I,
Okay,
I,
so
I forget that people are listening and not just watching, so
that's
that
right.
being mindful.
Oh, Sam, you're a Leo too. Moon is in Cancer. Oh, and your rising is Scorpio. I'm kind of along this. I'm almost the same, actually.
Well,
Leo,
frequency family, isn't it? Similar.
yeah.
You probably, if you even went back and, as you said, looked back into your past, your childhood, maybe many of your experiences are the same. Feelings of isolation, feelings of lack of self-worth, trauma that gets deeply buried within us, because especially as women, and women of a certain generation as I was, and of a certain culture as I am, we are told to suppress it, nice girls. Even though in the Vedic culture there is the goddess Kali who fights for injustice.
Yes. I find her scary and beautiful all at the same time.
Yeah, that's exactly what she's supposed to be. Because all our gods are avatars. They are just images of yourself put out there so you have no excuse not to. I mean, in Hinduism and anyway, that's a whole different conversation, but that, I don't follow that so much, more of the Vedic wisdom, but it's philosophy, not a religion.
I have to learn to let go of feeling guilty when I am irritated. When I get very irritated, I get shite done, and I get it done very well. I get a bit of an F you. I'm going to show you.
So,
It's magical when that happens, but then I feel
exactly. There's nothing wrong with it. You did it magnificently. That's the point.
Sorry, Mish, we went sideways. You were going to do something, so let's do that. So we don't lose any time.
I have our own little chit chat there again. I was sorry. But yeah, so guys, if and please do, if you, as I said, if you are busy in crowds and everything, come back to this later. I'd love to know how you feel about this. So simple. Just again, if you want to get some water, be comfortable, drop into your heart center, put your hand on your heart, easiest way, and go back to your vagus healing nerve. Connects you, grounds you. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and breathe out for 6. And just do a few rounds where you remember that you breathe out longer than you breathe in. And as you breathe in the divine light. And as you breathe out fear, self-doubt. And then just say yes to receive this. That's really important. You can muscle test, I am worthy. And if it said no, say yes to receive this. You can write in the chat or say it out loud to yourself. That's the most important bit. And muscle test again. I've learned all I need to learn from this. This is my seed belief. I'm ready to release this. If it says no to any of that, just leave it for a moment. We'll deal with that later. You can always talk to me privately. And go back again to your breathing. And allow yourself to be this mantra. To the creator of all there is, it is commanded. All vows, oaths, promises, contracts, hidden soul contracts, hexes, curses, fears, beliefs, obligations upon others to not be worthy, to not feel valued, deserving, now be taken and sent to Gaia, transmuted into light. Through all lifetimes, past, present, future, in between lives, all time, space, and dimensions, backwards and forwards, forwards and backwards, across all languages and realities, time, space, above as it is below, within as it is without. All trauma from these experiences now be released. All soul fragments be washed, cleansed, returned whole. All lessons learned and in love and light. Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. Aho. To the creator of all there is, it is commanded to reinstall the Creator's highest definition, perspective, and meaning of how to live your day-to-day life with ease, knowing that you are worthy, deserving, and valued. Teaching you how to, when to, that you are worthy of this, deserving of this, that it is safe to do so, that you give yourself permission to do so, that it is possible to do so with grace and compassion for the highest and best good of all, teaching you what this sounds like, tastes like, smells like, feels like, how to do this with ease every day, in every way, above as it is below, within as it is without, and in love and light, past, present, future to eternity. It is done, it is done, it is done. Ashe. Namaste.
Namaste. Because the weird in me honors the weird in you.
100%.
So, okay, my folks from that are here that have been in the mentoring group, that sounded kind of familiar, eh?
And then
I'm having a lot of ahas and feeling very validated, and I appreciate you sharing time, space, and energy and your knowledge and your gifts of who you are from your heart space unconditionally with all of us.
oh,
Mhm.
no, absolute pleasure. I mean, hey, it's Friday night and I got to play. It's Friday night in London town and I got to play with you guys, with the Frequency family. What could be more joyful and blissful?
Right.
I'm completely in my element. And after we do the mantras, I tell people to then muscle test again. So if they want to, they can muscle test in the comments and see if it's changed from if it was a no before to a yes. Because that was the quantum energy. That's how it happens in an instant.
If anybody's checking with their muscle testing, I would like to comment.
I'd love to hear.
Mhm. Everyone is saying thank you. Okay, I'm going to start putting these up so you can see.
Oh.
Contessa Martin, thank you so much. That was beautiful. Laura Lee, oh my God, that was powerful. Thank you. Katie Borges, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Cindy Waghorn, who also is an energy healer.
Yay.
That felt so good. Yes, Jen. I'm having, yeah, interesting that we talked about imposter syndrome and then this is where it went.
Oh, ouch. So here's something that I got through my guides for you. So it's like, and I can identify with this as well because as I said, I was in fashion. This was not my. I was supposed to be like an Indian version of Lady Diana, marry well. This was not what I was supposed to be doing, and I felt like it was like a bumper car ride. And I feels like for you, it's almost similar. You've kind of bumped into this, and someone then said, "Oh, you're a healer, you're a psychic, you're a medium," but you've never taken full ownership of it, and you know it. The knowledge is all there. You know it. It's all there. It's all there in you. There's nothing I haven't said that you didn't know before me. Does that make
sense? So yes. So I want to be as transparent as possible with this.
No, do.
The mediumship and all of this stuff I've done full time for a very long time, right? And the energetic cord cutting that I do was just like energetic cord cutting. But the way that I phrase it and the way that I do it, you have a little tweak at the end that is different, but it's exactly the same. Yeah. And I'm like, I've never thought of it as quantum healing. Never even thought about putting that word to it.
I think, I guess the reason why it came up with quantum, because I used to call it instant energy healing and people just so could not believe that was possible. Perfect.
Yeah. I mean, Sam is saying, thank you, Neha. Or
Yeah.
the muscle testing and how you've grouped all of that together and putting this is beautiful. It is beautiful. And um, I feel part of the imposter syndrome that I have had in the last few weeks has really just, I think, probably tonight for sure, guaranteed tonight for sure. That last little bit has just melted away, and this soul grouping of people mirroring to me that,
I'm doing the mega happy dance now.
yeah, keeping myself here and knowing how, like, I'm a very busy person, and yeah, just
I was going to say about
how
us.
I'm perceiving myself is different.
Mm.
How I perceive myself is different. So I appreciate that.
And I
Um,
think for a lot of us, light workers, way showers, again, whatever label um, you identify with, we've climbed this mountain and hacked through the jungle ourselves.
yeah.
This wasn't a path walked or shown. We are generational breakers. We're karmic family cycle breakers.
Yes. Yes. Goddesses and warriors, all of us at the same
Yes,
time.
it really did not come with a how-to manual. There was no dummy's guide.
No.
They didn't
Joanne
make
House, yeah. She's saying thank you for sharing your
dummy.
wisdom. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and gift, and very grateful for tonight's experience.
Beautiful. Well, do stay because I know we're coming to the end, but I've got another lovely meditation if you, which is just a
Yes,
few.
we have um a 8 minutes ish.
It's only 2 or 3 minutes.
Perfect. I will be quiet.
Oh no, carry on, carry on. Till and then we can end at that. Whatever works. Sorry, I didn't mean to crash over you.
No, everybody will want to participate and receive. We are all in receiving mode.
Oh,
So
yeah.
whatever you would like to share and promote and tell us, you have something happening on Monday. So let's do the meditation and talk about what you have coming up on Monday.
Yeah. I have on Monday a workshop that is donation based and it is for all survivors of any kind of trauma. It's called the We Too Project. That gives you a little clue because it came out of the Me Too movement. So it gives you a little clue in that direction, but that is not the sole purpose. It's really any kind of trauma. It says £33 on the ticket, but that's because you have to put in a price that's just optional. You just want to even give me £1. I don't mind. You want to donate to your charity, I don't mind. I always say there should be some kind of an energetic exchange so that you as a participant do not feel beholden to me and I don't subconsciously feel resentful to you. And this is how we move into the age of Aquarius and the feminine way of doing business. It is interdependent and also, reciprocal. It
Yeah.
is. I believe that this is a collaboration. That's why we do what we do. This, again, frequency and everything else. So I would absolutely adore it if you came along. It's yeah, come along. And if not, if you can't make it on the time, whatever, you can subscribe and you can get it as a recording. You don't have to be on camera. You don't have to speak if you don't want to. But if you want to, you can as well. And it's really along this lines. And we release, the legacy of the experience, shame, blame, not being heard, not being seen, muscle tested or not worthy, imposter syndrome, all of that. And also, yeah, that's it. And I can't think of anything else. I probably should have, but let's keep it simple.
Where can they find the link for it?
Oh gosh, I thought I gave you the link, but maybe it's not there. But if you go to any of my social media like Instagram, if you want to help me out on TikTok, I need to get to 10K TikTok followers. I'm only at 5 before I can start earning. Follow me on TikTok and you'll see the link and it says bookme.name / unlocked bliss. And there you will find it's called the We Too Project. Because again, that collaboration and everything else. So my digitals have been glitching up a little bit, but in worst case to worst, if you want to just even email me at hello@unlockedbliss, then I will get back to you. I will send you one. You don't have to pay the money or whatever. And go give someone, some money. Just tell me, I
So
would have
generous.
someone. Pay it forward. That's it. Pay it forward. Pay it forward
Yeah.
somewhere. But one of the things I really like to do with my clients and with everybody when we're particularly in this frequency is, I believe, one of the most precious things is when we become present to that frequency and energy. And so I like to do it close always with a little closing ceremony to bring ourselves back into your energetic body and to really appreciate us kind of, as you say, sharing, because it's, there's many other places people could have been today, but all your listeners,
Right.
you for inviting me, all this beautiful soul family that's making me beam. I can feel the love. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you feel it back too. So this
Mm.
really pulls this in and will ground you in doing this. And it's so simple. We're just going to go through your chakras and infuse it with radiant, divine, iridescent, luminescent, divine white light. So really simple. Again, just be comfortable if you want to. We have mudras, as you know, in our ancient culture, because again, they activate different energies and frequencies, but it's not essential. Dip into your heart center, put your hand on your heart, just close your eyes, just relax. And then, if you can, in front of you, see like a full curtain of fireflies, as if you're, I don't know, on Britain's Got Talent, and that sparkling rainbow of electric light that's flowing down, magical fireworks sparking off each other. Step into that now. And as you step into that, feel the divine, iridescent, luminescent, divine light hit your crown chakra, lighting up every piece of your cell and DNA as they whiz round, releasing any darkness, tension through to your third eye chakra. Release your jaw, put some space between your teeth, take your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Feel every cell, every piece of your DNA spark up with iridescent, luminescent, divine, white, pure light through your throat chakra. If you feel it a bit closed, a bit heavy, gently lay your gaze on any pain and do Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I thank you, I love you. Say it to each cell, piece of your DNA, as you allow it to release, as each cell lights up with iridescent, luminescent, radiant divine light through to your heart chakra, your largest energetic organ, golden shining, down through your arms to your hand chakras, through your solar plexus down to your releasing your wounds, your fears, your self-doubt with ease, bringing in self-acceptance, forgiveness. Allow it all gently to melt away. Move through to your sacral chakra, lighting one up, each one a piece of cell and DNA, shooting down your legs to your feet chakra, the divine, iridescent, luminescent, radiant divine light, grounding yourself to Gaia, your ultimate mother, nurtured and loved by her. There's nothing to fix. All is well, and you are a beloved, safe child of the universe. Namaste.
Thank you. That's so beautiful.
Thank
I get hits of things, so I had to keep writing them down.
you. Good, good, good. You must
Yeah.
have me afterwards. I can't wait. I hope
I
we
will,
this more.
I will share. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and participating. Your energy was necessary for this to be what it is. You all needed to be here contributing to allow it to be what it was. So, all divine and perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to everybody that was here. Oh, Jackie White, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were here. Sam is saying, what a lovely night. Thank you so much. So thank you to everybody that was in the chat. Thank you so much, Neha. Thank you for being here. And it is unlockedbliss.com. They can find you on all the social medias at unlockedbliss as well too. And yes, so please follow, subscribe. Instagram, TikTok, all those places, please and thank you. Thank you to the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM in the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And please stay with us because Jeffrey Pritchett is next with the Church of Mabus. And next week, I have the beautiful Stephanie Malo coming on. So I hope that you all join us back here next week. Good night, everybody.